Hi, friends. Welcome back to another episode of Real Housewives of Moto. We have a special one today. I'm so excited about this one. This is my girl, Taryn. Taryn, what is up, my friend?
Hi, how are you?
I'm so good. I'm so excited we're doing this. We were chatting beforehand and we cannot figure out how we got connected, but that doesn't matter because you're here now.
Yes, we made it work.
Oh my gosh. I've talked about you on the pod. I now refer to you as like my girl Taryn. So I have like officially like claimed you. So
You can.
there's no
At
getting
least
away
someone
now.
claims me.
Taryn is the racing PR coordinator for Monster Energy Kawasaki, and she has been in the industry, and you have heard her voice, and she's a very special presence in Moto. And I'm so glad that, well, we'll get into it, but we're so glad that you are still around because you had a very different job last year. And so we're going to talk about where you were last year and where you were this year and what you're kind of doing in your everyday job at Kawasaki. So, first of all, why are you not at Denver right now? Because we were recording on press day for Denver. So
Yeah.
explain to me how that works.
I'm like, this is actually like a blurred background. I'm on the track right now, but
Yeah,
no.
it's snowing.
Um,
So,
no, literally. I actually share the position with another girl. Her name is Rachel. And so
Mhm.
we split the races. We go like 50-50 on the weekends. So it's nice because we're in office during the week together. And then, for example, she's at Denver right now, and then I'll go to Salt Lake the following weekend.
You got the better race. So let's be real. Salt Lake is going to be
I'm
awesome.
very excited about Salt Lake. Yes.
Oh my gosh. I'm not getting like anything done this week. Like I leave on Wednesday or Thursday and I'm like, it's a total wash. Like I'm just like, get me to Salt Lake. So
No, literally. Like, I hope I blink and it's there.
oh, it's a long week, but it's been a great season. So you guys actually provide marketing and PR support for the 450s, the 250s, and Team Green. I did not know that about Team Green. So
Yeah.
what I mean, like that's a lot of riders. Like, so that's 6 pro riders and 3 Team Green as of right now. Did we do that?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
And I mean, granted, we do have 2 of our Team Green riders out on injury right now, but
Mhm.
in total,
My
it
little
is
Vincent.
9. Yeah.
Yeah, gosh, that's a lot of work. So, all right, let's back up a little bit. How did you get into moto? Were you raised in it? I mean, were you what I know you ride, you're a baddie, but how did you get into moto?
So, I grew up in the industry a little bit. One of my close friends, my cousin, was actually his trainer growing up. And
Oh,
so we
cool.
were already kind of like spurged into the industry a little bit. And then my dad, one of his best friends is Paul Kraus. So he grew up riding with him and just some other friends. They taught me really early on. And just from the get go, I knew that this was something I was super into, but I never thought that I would be here right now. I always just thought I'd be one of those like fans on the side, cheering because I ride too. But the fact that I have a career here now is actually a little bit insane to me. But I started with a nonprofit that actually is no longer existent. I started
All
there.
right.
I did some PR work. Yeah, literally. I did some PR work for them. That was about, I want to say, a year and a half before we both kind of mutually called it quits. And that was at Vegas SMX a couple of years ago. And I kind of just thought, okay, well, I guess this is, my time in the industry is over. I'll finish school. And then I got a call from the team owner of the privateer support program last year asking if I could help out with his team because I used to do some stuff for Ted Parks and that team basically took over Ted's team when he retired. Love Ted, miss him so much. But
It's a big
Ted had kind
energy.
of put in a word that no, yeah, and I miss his ribs. Like I just, but yeah, he said that I would be a good fit for it. So I said yes, and I ended up signing up for the full year. So I was the public relations coordinator for the privateer support program, and I did that for all of last year. And then I did MX Sports, and that was by far like one of the best experiences I've ever had in my entire life. I did the press conferences and I did the pit reporting on Fridays for MX Sports and the outdoor series. Seriously, hands down, phenomenal. I loved getting to know everybody on a different level. I'm such a talker. Everybody knows, shut up. So if I'm not talking, you should be worried. Something's
Like,
wrong.
oh no.
No, yeah, actually, you should be
I
worried.
love that. We were joking about like trying to figure out like how we got connected. And I know like when I launched Real Housewives of Moto, I followed like everybody with a uterus that was tied to moto. Like if you were
Yeah.
a female in moto, I'm like, cool, I'm following you. So I think that's probably how we started following each other on Instagram. But I viscerally remember, and I told you this, like I did not know that you were doing some of the press conferences because Haley had other, obligations or whatever. And so I guess that we had press conference is on like in the background or something, and you have a very distinctive voice. And I remember doing something else and not watching, and then being like, "Is that Taryn? Is that Taryn?" And like freaking out, like just so excited for you because I missed the memo or something. Knowing the sport, they probably didn't even say anything. They're just like, "Yeah, here's another blonde. You guys aren't gonna know."
Yeah,
Like, actually, we do know.
they
So
didn't say anything because it was spur of the moment. I found out at Fox Raceway for the first round, like,
no.
the day before. Yeah,
The day I was gonna ask you, like, how much lead time did you have? So literally the day
literally a
before.
day. Mhm.
Oh my gosh. So what is that like? What does that look like? Like, how do you prepare? How do you? I mean, oh, maybe it's better you didn't have a whole lot of
Honestly,
lead time.
yes, I think that that helped a little bit as far as, like, I knew whatever I had was what I had to work with, but
Yeah.
ultimately, I looked back at Haley's prior press conferences. I looked back through, multiple, like, reels on Instagram of, like, her pit reporting style, but also I'm very well articulated, and
You are.
I am decent behind a camera, like, my public speaking skills are 100% half of the reason why I probably am in this industry, so
Mhm.
I knew off the bat that it would be easier, but because I'm such a talker, it was the fact that I talk too fast sometimes that was really the killer,
I get
so
that with me. I get
exactly,
it.
yeah. So, that was kind of, like, leading up to it, I had to mentally prepare myself to talk slow, and I
Mhm.
also had to prepare myself to be in some situations, like, live on camera, whether you see me
Mhm.
or don't, like, it's active as I'm speaking. But yeah, I
Mhm.
had 24 hours.
Mm.
It was very I think that there was a miscommunication about whether or not Haley could agree to it, and I think that's why it was so last minute. But yeah, very much like, I'd be stupid to say no, but I have 24 hours to figure out how to do this.
That's so wild. Like, I could never. I could never. I'd be way too up in my head. Like, I could not. So
Oh,
you
yeah.
don't know this is coming, but you take it by the reins. You're also doing a whole nother job at the same time, and it's 1,000 degrees outside at most of these tracks. Like,
Yeah.
what does that look like last summer? Like scrambling. I mean, I know like you're not eating, girl. We got to
Yeah,
work
so
on that.
that
Have we gotten better about eating and hydrating?
It depends on how you define that, but, I don't know. I mean, I know I'm not the only one that doesn't really eat on race days, but
Yeah.
I am known for being one of the ones that does not eat. I'm out on the track for qualifying for our guys, so I'm watching and taking our guys while simultaneously having a headset in, listening to the broadcast so that I
Oh my
can have
gosh.
notes for the press conference later. And
I
then
can't.
once all of the qualifying and stuff is over and, like, the actual, like, motos start, I transition into the media tent because then I can see the TV in front of me
Mhm.
while having the headset in, and I'm, like, taking notes about all of the motos and potential questions for potential podium guys and all of that. So it's very much and, like, I'm switching shirts too. So, like, during the day, I have my private support program shirt on, and then the second I'm in the media tent, I have my MX Sports shirt on. Like, it was very much multiple hats, going crazy, not eating. I do hydrate. I was drinking a lot of water, but I was not eating. I don't eat. I think it's nervousness, I think it's anxiety, but I don't know. Like everybody knows that I don't eat. Like, "Oh, when's the last time you ate?" Maybe 3 days ago when I flew out in the morning. Like it yeah.
I get that now. Like one of the things that has been like a blessing and a curse with like this whole Real Housewives journey is that like I've gotten to know some of these writers and definitely like their wives. And so now I feel like a whole nother level of anxiety because I feel like personally invested in these people. And so I can't even imagine how you feel where they're like, they're your guys, they're your writers, you know? So yeah, I get that. I mean, I'm giving you crap because I'm like, I don't want you to die, but also I totally understand. Like it's
No,
just
but, like, you
your body's
should
like,
though, because ultimately one, it's gonna kick me in the ass. Sorry, I don't know if
Mhm.
I'm allowed to get on this, but it's
No,
going to soon.
you can say whatever the fuck
Um,
you want here.
yeah, I'm like, "Oh, okay, so let's" but yeah, it's definitely eating at me, literally, and I don't we'll see what that outcome ends up being, and I always say like, "Oh, well, today I'll eat," and then I don't,
I
so
mean, that was honestly food was one of the biggest things that like shocked me about, having a little bit more access to the pits this year is like, I mean, if we're gonna get into like traditional gender roles, like it is a lot of food prep falls to the women. And, a lot of like just thinking about hydrating the racers and all of that, like it's going to fall to the women. So it's like your own body is so far down the totem pole. And I don't want to like put words in your mouth, but it just, that's what I saw from other people is that like, even like, top pro rider wives and girlfriends, like they're just making sure that their man is hydrated and well fed. So
Yep.
like you're not even like a thought. We'll get to where your career is now, and like you are absolutely an integral part of 3 teams we have now seen. But we got to make sure that you're functioning. So, you're saying you have literally like you're watching qualifying and you have a headset on and you're trying to construct questions for the press conference. I think I need to clarify for listeners, like you weren't given the questions, you were writing
No,
those questions.
I was writing them. Yes.
That is so cool. And also
It was
like
cool. Yeah.
so intimidating. I mean, I feel like
Oh,
I'd be
absolutely.
intimidated.
And it was very much like I felt like I had like a sense of creativity and, freedom in it, but at the same time, because I had never really done something to that extent before, it was very intimidating.
Yeah. So how did you decide like where's the line? So there was the whole like asking, Hopper asked AP about, being teammates with Eli and things like that. There's always stuff that like, everybody in the industry knows that we want to know, but like you have to toe that line. And then also like how do you decide, you know, what's appropriate or what people really want to know, and then how do you spin that into something that's so eloquent? I mean, that's naturally you're gifted, you're like you said, you
Thank
are
you.
so well spoken and so well written. But how do you toe that line, especially where you're like a million miles an hour and like I said, it's 1,000 degrees outside, you haven't eaten, all the things, like how does that work? How do you come up with a coherent question?
That is a good question. I feel as though a lot of it stemmed from hearing like the commentary on the broadcast and bringing up prior success and like upbringing that would root into the questions, but also like prior years, like, for example, like Tom Vial's high point run in 25 versus 24, something like that that kind of gives you something to spin off of. But I did have to be very careful because I was representing the series versus the individuals next to me were representing their own podcasts or media companies. That was very different. I had a different agreement and a different persona for that versus they didn't. So, and everyone under that tent had to be very careful with what they said because you could get your credential revoked in a sense. But I had to be more careful than anyone because I had an MX Sports logo on my shirt, so, I can't fully, and I did get reprimanded by
Oh,
fans
no.
and people, "Oh, well, these are, like, dull questions, like, it's not what we wanna hear." And granted, for like, sometimes, absolutely, I agree, it's not always the question that's, eating at you, but the questions that you wanna know, I can't always ask, so
Yeah.
then sometimes we'll kind of throw it onto, one of the media guys next to me because they can ask that versus I have to be a little bit more careful. So,
That's really hard. And, we'll get to, your current state and a very prominent team, but there's so much information constantly swirling. There's so many Moto Bro podcasts. There's so many content creators. I kind of put myself in the content creator pool. I'm like, I don't have a media credential. I don't think I ever will. I don't think I ever want one. That's a whole other thing. So like we know so much more, like the diehards. And so to like watch the press conferences and know that there's like another layer to it, like is always so interesting to me. I mean, especially like what I loved over the summer is like, and I think probably whoever was manning the live feed like wised up to it. But in the beginning, like the YouTube live feed would come on before anybody got on the stage. That was my
mhm.
favorite because you'd hear like the chatter, you'd see Jet with his hot dog, you'd hear, Hayden walk up and be like, "Who wants to sit next to the king?" And
Yep.
so I'm
Yep.
like, "Oh, can we please make sure that comes
I
back this year?"
vividly remember that. Yeah.
That was the best. So I think sometimes like from the fan perspective that are so invested and so hardcore, like we just want to know everything, but like we have to realize that like we are a professional sport and like we are a small professional sport, in comparison to NASCAR, F1.
Yeah.
But there is that delicate balance of being like we need to be professional, we need to honor our sponsors, that, I mean that really it does all come back to money and the sponsors and who's
Mm,
paying for it. And I think
yeah.
that's one of the things that's lost on the casual fan, like just from, like Peacock, like we have a 5-year deal with Peacock that I believe is up next year, 27, 28. When
It's
is it?
soon. Yeah.
Yeah, it's soon. And like we, if the sport isn't doing well, like we wouldn't have that and we'd be back to like the Nav TV days. Oh gosh, we won't talk about that. But it really does. It comes back to finances. And so I think when people are like, oh, we're not asking the right questions, or you didn't talk about this drama or whatever. And it's like, well, if we're not portraying our sponsors in a positive light, we will lose that money. And we're not F1. It's not like we're going to have another multi-million-dollar sponsor step in. We'd love that, but it just doesn't happen.
No,
So yeah, having
absolutely.
to
Yeah, we'd
juggle
love
that.
to have a sponsor like that. The reality of that happening isn't super prominent right now.
Yeah. I think we're getting there. I do. I'm hopeful. I think, Jet and Hayden, that's they're big names, and Hayden like
Mhm.
transcends the sport. So whether you're a Hayden fan or not, like I think that he's really good for the sport from like a, an eyeballs perspective. But yeah, it's a delicate thing to balance. And if you were not following Moto, 4 or 5 years ago before the creation of SMX, like Feld and MX Sports were not necessarily best friends. So that was a whole other thing that we have to navigate.
Mhm.
Luckily now we are a little more cohesive and
Yeah,
we're
yeah.
better friends. But yeah, that's a lot. That's a lot to juggle, especially on top of your day-to-day responsibilities. So you make it through the summer. You're not completely depleted. We make it to
Not
SMX.
completely.
I did see you at Vegas. Was that the first time I think we'd ever met? Was it Vegas? I remember you were like
I
running through
think
the pits and I'm like, Taryn.
yes, like face to face Vegas
Yeah.
SMX was the first time
Yeah.
we met. Yeah,
Oh my gosh, that was so fun. And at this
it was
point,
fun.
you had kind of some inklings that things were changing with your current role.
Mm,
Let's talk about that transition. Like
okay.
knowing that things are ending. Let's talk about, hold on, pause. Let's talk about going to college and where your college degree plays into this timeline. Hold
Yeah.
on. 'Cause we need to talk about like the actual like credentials that you have behind your name. Let's
Yeah,
go there first. Talk about college.
absolutely. So, I graduated with a bachelor's in creative writing. I have one in rhetoric and composition, and I have one in professional writing. So I'm very much like a writing craziness. That's what's going on over here. It wasn't exactly PR, but because I have that media PR background in the sport, I think that's what helped kind of add to that in a sense. But I didn't even intend for this to be my career because I have my teaching credential. The reason why I have all those writing degrees is because I intended to be a college professor and teach English,
So
but,
cool.
I just fell in love with what I do here, and to a point to where, I put off teaching last year, or I guess, like, last semester or whatever you wanna call it in a sense, to where, like, Vegas SMX, like, that's what I was doing, and I was so unsure about what to do. It was eating at me for months about whether or not I should tell them, okay, I need to put this off. I'm going to stay in Moto, or if I was going to say goodbye to Moto and go full teaching. Like this is just going to, I'm going to keep doing this. It's going to be what I'm going to do.
Mm,
It was a very, very hard decision. A lot of crying, a lot of rethinking things because I knew that I'd be sad either way. It
mhm.
was hard.
Ugh,
It was very hard. Like, I mean, I'm gonna lose either way. I'm g I'm gonna cry. It's just
that's so hard. And like it's two like I mean, totally different trajectories. Like it's like
Mhm.
you
Oh,
could
absolutely, it's so different.
yeah. I mean, and it was several months where you were sitting in this tension, right? I mean, this
Yes.
isn't like overnight. This is like I know this is coming into an end and I need to
Mhm.
make a decision, but the doors are not opening. And so yeah, talk a little bit about how things ended there and how your your Q4 of last year was.
Yeah. I It was months. So I right around probably May of last year, I knew that I had to make a
Mhm.
choice because the school year was coming up. I knew that it was gonna start, and I just wasn't sure, and I did start. So, like, at Vegas SMX, that's what I was doing, but I had to make a decision by, like, the 1st week of October. So the entire summer as I'm doing, like, press conferences and, PR for the team, all that's on my mind is this gonna be the last time that I do this, or
Oh,
am I gonna come back next year and, put teaching to the side? It was seriously, it sounds so first world problem, but it was one of the hardest decisions I've ever had to
no.
make. It was incredibly difficult. There's so many pros and cons to both.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah,
your
and
job
I
and your life partner are like the hardest decisions you make in your
Mhm.
entire life. So like,
Absolutely. Yeah, like, it takes up more than I think people realize. So, I
yeah.
finally at Vegas SMX, I had some talks about a couple different positions, but none of them were Cowie. I had no idea that this was going to happen. So it was a couple of other teams were interested. There was a potential for me to go back with MX Sports the following summer, but it would just be MX Sports. So I was very torn, but I trusted my gut and I decided that even though I didn't have something settled for Moto, that I was going to go that route and put teaching to the side. So I told my students,
Oh.
this is, tomorrow. I don't even remember when I told them. I gave them a heads up though, like it's next week, like it'll be the last time you guys see me. Um,
Oh.
Whatever. And I got a lot of tears. I had
I bet.
students from other classes come in at lunch that, are crying. Like there's just not many good teachers, and there really isn't. It's
Mhm.
hard. So I get
Yeah.
what they mean. But
Yeah.
oh my gosh, I cried for weeks. I miss
Yeah.
them. It's hard.
Oh, I
I
bet.
miss them. And like
What age or grade was that?
middle school,
Oh my gosh.
which
Yeah.
is like the worst between the 3 groups you can teach.
Yeah.
Middle school is definitely the worst. It's a ripe age for them. But I grew to love it, and I think it's because I'm just crazy that I loved it. Because most people do like, if you're a teacher, middle school is your worst fear. You don't wanna be
Yeah.
anywhere near those kids.
No,
But I
thank you.
grew to love it, and I loved them, even though they, work a little crazy.
Yeah.
But it was hard. It was hard to break the news, and it was hard to really walk away from it knowing that I didn't have something lined up. It was a big risk.
That's I mean, I'm so proud of you that you were able to do that, but, like, that's also, like, terrifying to be like, I'm for sure saying goodbye to something I love to chase something I love, but that there's nothing in writing there. Um, so, well, yeah, let's talk a little about that transition, and we can preface this with, there are several PR and marketing roles, on the pro racing side.
Mhm.
I would say predominantly they've been filled by women. There have been a few male PR contacts, but each team does things a little bit differently. Each team, some teams have two. Yamaha has two, Honda has one. You guys Cowie has had two, and then has had one. Um, so there's not a position open at the end of the year last year. So how do things kind of come about? I mean, I knew, like, from my perspective, like we were kind of joking about it, that like I have kind of become Moto TMZ accidentally. So like I'm knowing things going on in the background where I'm like, okay, well, if that falls through, maybe this team is going to need this, and maybe I can slide Taryn in there, and maybe if I call this person. So I'm like playing like LinkedIn in the background, like constantly, like we cannot lose this voice in the sport. Like I had like a personal investment in keeping you around, but you did it
Oh
all
my
on your
god.
own.
I love that.
So
No, I
how
appreciate
did
the
Cowie come
support.
about? Yeah.
Yeah, I actually didn't even hear about it until probably mid to late November. It was late into the year. So I had spent, 2 months already thinking that I had no job, and why would I put this off? I'm so stupid, all of those thoughts. But ultimately, I actually had an interview for another team's position that just didn't work out, which is totally fine because I love who they filled it with. But that I thought was gonna work out. So then when it didn't, I went into like cardiac arrest, and
Ugh.
I had no, because by then that was like middle of November. I just figured, well, all the teams have chosen now. I'm I'm screwed. Like I made the wrong choice. But because I spent the outdoor season working with Brandon Short, who is, an MX Sports E, he is technically employed by Next Level Sports, which is a marketing agency that works for Cowie. So when we were talking and he knew that I hadn't really found something yet, there was potential that one of the current racing PR people here was going to move to a product PR position, and that spot would be open. But it was very much like not sure what's going on, not sure what he's decided. So I was a little bit in the dark because I couldn't tell if, okay, well, if it does open, are you even considering me? Do I need to go look where? And then they ended up deciding that he did indeed want to move to that position. So they did fly the racing PR position to fill his spot. And I had several interviews. I had like a phone interview with my agency boss, another phone interview with multiple people in the agency. I had an in-person interview with the team managers, our race marketing director, our director of
Whew.
PR. In person, it was me and 6 men in a room. It
Oh
was
my gosh.
very
No pressure.
intimidating. Yeah, no, yeah, and like I'm in the middle and like they're all like around me. I was nervous, but it didn't show. I knew that that's what I wanted to do. Like I was willing to fight for it. And I know that they interviewed a couple of other people. It wasn't just me.
Yeah.
So that
Did you
made
know
me
that
nervous
while you were
too.
interviewing?
Sorry?
Did you know that while you were interviewing that there were other
No.
candidates? Oh,
I
that's
think
almost better.
I knew, yeah, I think they told me after. Because I know that they told me, but I think it was after. But I felt like it went really well, but I couldn't tell because I think they were trying to contain whatever it was. But one of my bosses now, I won't say who it was, but he's sitting on the opposite side of me. And as I'm talking, he has like this smirk on his face. Like I can tell that he's
Oh, I love it.
proud that he brought me to this.
Yeah.
Like he was very much like excited about it. So that gave me a good feeling. But because it was, me, a young female in a room full of men, I think I was just like, "Oh, no, they're not gonna pick me. Like, why would they pick me if they have like a, whatever." So I left very nervous, very nervous. And this was the first week of December. So now that 3rd interview was fully like I was a month from A1. I was shitting
Whew.
my pants. Like, what am I like, if I don't get this, I'm done. I'm passing away. Like, this is just not gonna happen. They called me, I think literally the next day. It was either like the next day or it was like a couple days later, and they were like, "We wanna offer you the position, if you're interested." The
Oh
biggest
my
release of relief, what oh my god, like, I was in tears because I just like, "Oh my gosh, I did it. I found something that's actually a really good gig." Like, it's not even like, "Oh, like, this is an okay job and I'm just gonna take it because I don't have anything." Like, it's something that I actually wanted. So, oh
Ugh.
my god, the relief, the I was, like, almost proud of myself in the
You should
least
be.
non-cocky way possible. I was thrilled. So, obviously, I said yes. Like, I'm like, "Oh, no, I'm not interested." Like, no, I'm no. I was so into it,
Yes, please.
so ready, and I can't remember, I think they called me on, like, a Tuesday or something. And I had said, like, I need to, you know, transition out of teaching. I need to finish some, whatever. But I think I started the next week.
Oh
I
my
was
gosh.
able it was a very quick transition. But ultimately, that next week was the last week of the semester. So I was able to just I think I ended up starting on like a Tuesday or a Wednesday, but I went Monday. And that was when I spread the news like, okay, when you come back from break, I'm not gonna be here anymore. So
Oh.
that was hard. It really was, and I've said that a million times. But it was a very quick transition. I, you know, packed that up, brought everything, not everything, but like I brought my stuff here and I started, pretty much immediately,
Oh my
to the point
gosh.
where that was, the 2nd week of December or something, and I've been here since, yeah, and it's May 1st now. So
Oh my
we've
gosh.
almost lasted through the entire Supercross season.
Good night, girl. Like I remember hearing that like I didn't hear it from you first. I heard it from somebody else. And I was like, I haven't heard from Taryn, so I'm not gonna believe it. But like I said, like I was like, we have to keep her. We have to find her a job. Like we cannot lose her. But then when it was, yeah, middle of December, I was like, no way this is happening this close to A1. Like that is like a nightmare. And we all knew that Chase was coming in and we knew that like Garrett was going to the 450. I knew that there was stuff, I mean, all the way across the board, like we talked about 9 riders between the 3 groups. Like that's a lot to come into. So I was like, holy cow. Like I hope she got this, but also she's going to be jumping in with both feet.
Yeah.
So like, what do you start with? Like, what is December 3 weeks out from A1 look like? Like, how do you get started? What's the first thing you have to tackle? What does that look like?
Honestly, a lot of it was prep for the start of the season. We also release this media kit every year that kind of encompasses all of our writers, all of our like team personnel. It's like a look forward into the upcoming seasons. And that had already been written, but they needed to write the kind of like 2026 foreshadow paragraphs for some of the writers and, the team, and so my partner actually let me do that just to kind of, I think, test the waters, and I got great feedback from my boss, so
I
that
wanna
went
wait, I wanna
well.
know all about this. Like, so what
Yeah.
do you have to work with the writers? Do you just use your previous knowledge because you've been in the sport? I mean, like, what does that process look like? This is fascinating.
A little bit of both, and then also just kind of digging through, like, Racer X, archives and whatnot, kind of getting some feedback, but then also we have the last several years of our media kits to reference, so that part you kind of just build off of it and make it like a 26 version, but then with Garrett moving up to 450, obviously that's altered, bringing Chase on, he has an entirely new one, so it is kind of different depending on the writer, but ultimately, it wasn't too difficult. I liked it. It was nice to get my feet wet with that, and then from there, we send it off to be published, and then it's weeks of giving edits back because it's such a long kit that, Rachel and I dig through it and nitpick everything. We're checking spelling, we're checking, missing information, birthdays, all of that kind of stuff, and so we did, like, 3 different revisions of that, sending it back and forth, which was tedious, obviously, but, you know, getting my feet wet, which was great. Um, and yeah, we do this thing called Proof in Racing, which is basically like a newsletter every week, and it highlights whatever races were the prior weekend, whether that's World Superbike, Supercross, GNCC, highlights that, talks about upcoming events, gives little race recaps, social stuff. It's kind of like a whole big, contraption full of all of us, basically. And, she was kind of introing me to that. She was doing it, but kind of just, like, letting me watch and figure out how to do it and stuff. And so a lot of learning, a lot of prep. It was much busier in December leading up to A1 than we are right now. I mean, we are busy right now, but there were so many things and, like, putting in all the schedules for every single series. So, we have teams in almost every motorsport series in the world. So,
That's
putting
gnarly.
up, like, Team Green schedule, Supercross schedule, GNCC, National Enduro, National Grand Prix, like, it just keeps going. We're putting in all of those schedules, all of those, which that was tedious too. That took a week, maybe less. That sounds too long, but it was a while. So just stuff preparing for the season and a lot of learning how it's gonna go, basically. And then the holidays, we most of us weren't even in for that long of December, but it was pretty much prep.
Yeah. So does Cowie have like, so I work in corporate branding, that's my entire career, and so I think like, oh, brand guidelines. Like, did you have like a brand guidelines, like a brand voice? Like, did you have anything like that was structured that Cowie had like on record that like this is how we go to market with, this race team, or this is how Cowie talks in this, verbiage or anything like that? Or was it just like, I'm an expert, thank God, so I can jump in and hit the ground running? Or, what kind of tools did you get to use?
Yeah, kind of a little bit of both. I didn't have too much direction on the way that I was wanted to write, but it was more of like a, "Let's let you do this and see how your
Hmm.
writing style
Yeah.
is, and we'll give you feedback." And then before A1, Rachel had me write like a mock PR based on a prior race, and that so that she could read it and see what my writing style was like. And so I kind of had some like testing situation to kind of see. And then over the course of the season, as we write PRs and newsletters, you kind of learn what we are supposed to write like. And it's a little bit different than I'm used to, in the
Hmm.
sense that there are certain things that I was taught with my degree that I do a certain way, but they don't want me doing that here, which is totally fine, but it's just some of the things I'm not used to. And I'm also used to writing a little bit more part of it creatively, so I'm used to more telling a story, which sometimes with our PR, we do wanna tell the story, but we don't want it to be this lengthy book. So then I have to learn to keep it minimal and don't fill it with, all of the details, so that part I wasn't fully used to, and I think sometimes I do that too much, and then I try to not overcompensate with that, so sometimes I don't do it enough, so that part is still, kind of figuring that out, but really getting edits back from other people, you learn what they look for and then eventually it catches on. I mean, I've gotten better since the beginning of the year, but because it's not about my writing skill, it's more so that learning what they want me to say, like how they want me to say it. Not what I can say what I want, it's just a matter of how I say it. So,
Yeah.
it's a learning process for sure.
Yeah, I bet. And I'm sure it differs from, racing industry to racing industry and then from race to race, like if it's been a really bad night for Chase, but it's been a great night for the 250s, it's like, okay, well, how do we pump up Chase, but also not look like it's like, okay, here's the 250s too. So I'm sure there's a very delicate balance there. And I remember even talking to our friend Tati, who used to be in a similar role at Honda. And it was like a big deal for Tati to include the other teams in the MXON press update because she worked for Honda, but obviously we had riders on other teams. And I mean, as a fan who I'm somewhat in the creative industry, like I wouldn't even think about that like, oh, it's a no-no to mention other teams. But at the same time, it's like we know that there are other teams involved. So it's,
Yeah.
learning that balance. I was fascinated by that because I like even like Weege called it out and was like, this is so cool that, a Honda PR mentioned Yamaha or whatever. And I was like, I wouldn't even think that's a big deal. But obviously, like you don't want to give other teams free PR, but then you're on Team America. And yeah, all the little nuances of it, like figuring that out, I just feel like would be so fascinating yet overwhelming at the same time.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. It's like a mix of both, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, but like, oh, this seems like it's totally not a big deal, and then actually, like in hindsight, it's like, no, you absolutely don't want to say that. So that would be a
Mhm.
wild trip. So you make it to A1.
No, literally.
Did you do media
Yeah.
days? So you were there for all
No.
that?
So that was the thing is the day that I started was the day after our team photo shoot and media day at Angel Stadium.
Yeah.
So literally the day after, I missed it so slimly. That was
Oh,
the part that was a little bit unfortunate was that I know they wanted me to be introduced to the team and our other, employees and whatnot. So that was I was like, "Oh, like, I know some of them already from, the TV stuff I did and being in the industry, but not enough where I felt like missing that made me feel confident." So, Rachel actually took me out to track. I think it was one of the first weeks that I started to really, like, face to face introduce me to all of the PC crew, all of our crew. And some of them I already knew, and they would say too, "Oh, I've seen you around, I've seen you with this, I just didn't know your name," or, "Oh, I remember you," like, Chase had said, like, "No, like, I remember you interviewing me, last summer," or whatever. So some of them did. Even Garrett said that too. He's like, "Didn't you work for Feld or something?" So they like, some of them knew, and, like, Drew, I already knew. So it was really just more of, like, learning the crew in a sense. But, yeah, I missed media day, but luckily I was able to make up for it. She took me there and introduced me, which was really nice. And then, yeah, A1 started, and it was really just me shadowing her to learn how she does it, and it was very overwhelming because last year I wasn't used to podium support. I wasn't used to
mhm.
autographs, like, we didn't do either of those. So
Oof.
that was very much like a, "How do I handle this situation?" So that was I mean, it wasn't difficult to learn, but it was one of the more difficult things that I had to take away from that because I've never done that before. We didn't do
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
And then
we're
also
talking about autograph lines.
yeah, it just we didn't do that. So, just kind of learning how she did things, I shadowed her, and it was
Mhm.
very much just learning, taking notes, observing, as it went. Um, and then a San Diego, it was shared, so I kind of jumped in a little bit, and we kinda did things together, and then A2, it was just me. She was there
Mm.
if I needed it, but we both were, like, trying to refrain from me needing her, so it was almost like, imagine she's not there unless it's an emergency situation, and it went well. I think for both of us, it went better than expected, and there were some things obviously that needed work or to be refined, but then the next weekend I did Houston by myself and it went well. So, I mean,
Oh.
there's that. Yeah. But yeah, very much just kind of like slowly introducing me in a sense.
Mhm. Yeah. No, that's really cool. I love that. I mean, oftentimes, like when you start a new job and like you're backfilling somebody and there's like no frame of reference for it, like I can't imagine doing that in Moto. Like I can't imagine doing that in Moto. I can't imagine doing that in Moto as a female. I can't imagine going from what you were doing to now a premier factory team. So I'm very grateful that you were eased in slowly.
Yeah.
But also so like proud that, like what, in 4 rounds you were, doing Houston in like 28-degree weather and, breathing in fumes. Houston was such a shit show. Sorry. It
It was cold.
was so
The
cold.
whole and it was so far from, like, the inside of the track was so far from where we
Mhm.
were pitted. The whole thing was yeah, it was
Mhm. I we've been to Houston a number of times. I think this is the 3rd year I've gone to Houston, and every time I'm like, "Why do we go here?" Like, I hate this stadium, like, I hate these this is awful. So, oh my
yeah,
gosh, I can't believe that was, like, your first one, like, fully on your own. So
yeah,
like, let's
and I
talk about a
think
race weekend. Oh, go ahead.
yeah. Oh my gosh. So it's I mean, let's say, for example, we have press. We fly in
Mhm.
Thursday, we do press Friday, kind of prepping for press. We'll send out, texts. Okay, here's when you need to arrive. Here's what we're doing. And then during their writing, we're doing the media interviews. We're getting some behind the scenes for social of the interviews. We're getting behind the scenes of them writing. And then also the team manager meeting if needed. Sometimes they request Mitch or Ian for PC. Sometimes they request Dan. It really depends on the weekend. We haven't had it every time. But if we have that, we go and attend that behind the scenes of that. And then the rest of the time we're there, we're prepping for the next day, whether that's, prepping the PR backpack, prepping our cooler for the podium, cleaning, it could be a million things, honestly. But Saturday morning, we get there. And the first thing we do, we have our team meeting. We hand out schedules because we print little schedules of our times throughout the day. And then the back has the timing sector map on it for all of our team to have just for
Okay.
reference. It's really nice. They like it, but we hand those out, if they change the schedule, which they do every single weekend,
Mhm.
we will
I have
write like
noticed this.
no, literally, like, we spend the 4 hours making, printing, laminating, rounding the corners of these schedules just for, like, the day of to be like, "Nope, we're
Mhm.
actually gonna move all these times." So,
Mhm.
we'll change them. And then, prepping the backpack, we have a very specific amount of waters and monsters and, like, wet towels that we put in the cooler. Same with the PR backpack. Every rider has a very specific hat. So it sounds funny, but like Chase has a hat that is different from Garrett's. It has a different logo on the back. It's a different style. And then Garrett's is obviously different. The PC boys, all 3 of theirs are the same hat, but they like it different. So like Seth's hat, like Bill is a little bit more curved. Levi likes it on the back to be like only 2 are clipped versus like Sam likes it even. Like it's just
This is
everyone's different. So
fascinating.
I always try to remember. I don't always remember, but I try to, depending
Do you
on the
have them
weekend it is.
labeled? Like, how do you even keep them straight?
No, but the way that we have them in the backpack, they don't get bent or anything. Like that's it's the I don't even know how to explain it, but they stay like that. And then Team Green has different hats because obviously, for example, like Garrett and Chase aren't Fox sponsored, but Team Green is sometimes, and then PC is. So then with that, anything we have can't have like this logo on it for certain riders. Everyone has a different goggle sponsor. So I've got like 3 or 4 pairs of goggles in there because Seth has different
Oh my
ones
god.
than Nick or Drew or Cam or Levi. Levi has different ones actually. They're like a different color. Chase has different ones. Garrett's are given to
God.
us when we're down there if we need them. So that was also difficult at A2 was trying to remember everyone's sponsors and everything. Because it's like, okay, but I need that hat, but I need those goggles. So it sounds stupid, but
No,
if
I'm
if you mess
fascinated.
up, like imagine Chase is on the podium with Fox goggles around his neck or
Mhm.
Scott. Like,
Well, I was gonna ask you, it wasn't you, it wasn't one of your riders, but it happened last year in the outdoors where the 250s came for the press conference. Someone left a particular drink sponsor, and the competing drink
mhm,
sponsor athlete sat down next to it. Who
mhm.
who hears about, like, who? Because obviously, like, the riders, I mean, like, especially in the outdoors, they're like zombies. They've just done, their 2 motos, whatever. Like, who hears about that when that happens? Like, whose head is on the chopping block? Is it a woman? It's gotta be a woman.
Yeah, and it really does depend. So, like, for example, let's say that hypothetically I messed up on the podium,
Mhm.
it would be my fault. I would get reprimanded
Gosh.
for that
Oh,
because
I hate that so
it's
much.
only my responsibility. So, you can't blame anybody else because it wouldn't have happened if I didn't do it. So, it
Yeah.
would be my fault and I would take responsibility for it, but we haven't had that happen yet, which is good, but I know it's happened before and yeah, I remember that press conference.
That's so
Yeah.
gnarly. Like, you have I mean, I didn't even think about goggles because I think about, like, sometimes you have a goggle guy there, but sometimes it's like a specialty goggle, and then you have
Right.
all the hats and all the look. That's a lot to manage, and especially, like, when you've just watched all the races and you're emotionally invested and, like, your heart rate's through the roof, and then you're worried about, like, hydrating them, and I mean, that's a lot to manage, like,
Yeah.
just from that. goodness.
It's
And then after
tedious,
the
yeah.
races, you have a whole new plethora of responsibilities. So what happens after
Mhm.
like after everybody's gotten off the podium? I mean, we do know I will say this. I won't put you on the record for this, but I know that the Moto Media has marching orders for how they're supposed to conduct themselves. They're supposed to go through proper protocol and like there's a post race presser, but we know that other people will go to the pits and other people will take 45-minute interviews in certain rigs and not get out in time. So I'm not going to make you comment on that, but sometimes I'm like, can you be respectful to the rest of the team? Anywho, so what does that look like after the race has happened and you know, if your rider was in the top 3, they've done the post race presser, like what happens after that? You know, everybody wants to leave, everybody's tired. What does your evening look like?
Yeah, so it's a little chaotic following the main because I have to go through photos and pick photos for our post. I
Oh
have
my
to write our
gosh.
caption based on results that I send
Wow.
a copy to, and I get approved before I can actually post it. So, like, weeding through the hundreds of photos that we got all day, like, trying to pick some good ones,
And those are
coming.
coming from photographers who were on the floor.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. We're contracted with Octopi, so that's coming through, from them. And so, yeah, looking through that, I also like, I'll clean up the office that, like, Dan and I will be in because sometimes, like, we'll track mud or, whatever. I put everything in the cooler that I didn't use back. Same with the PR backpack, checking to make sure that, if a hat was dirty or messed up, I either replace it or clean it or, whatever needs to be done. And then also I'm getting quotes from all of our riders about the day. That is sometimes difficult because if one of our 450 guys is on the podium and at the media scrum, I will come back and sometimes they're not there anymore. Like
Yeah.
they'll be gone. So then I have to text them and say like, "Hey, can you send me a voice memo? Hey, can you send me a text about this?" But for the most part, they're usually there. I just take my phone, I ask them a question, and then I give the phone to them and they tell me about it. And then I use that in our press release as their quote. So I get that from however many guys we have. It's usually just PC and Cowie, our 450 and 250 that I get them from. Occasionally we'll do Team Green. It really just depends on the situation, I think. But yeah, getting quotes, helping clean up, and then I'm monitoring media interviews or, to the best of my ability because sometimes we don't know that someone's there. So that part is sometimes difficult, but just monitoring them to make sure that everything's going smoothly, no one's, uncomfortable, nothing crazy is happening, just kind of monitoring that. And then ultimately, depending on how much we have to pack up and, you know, tear down, sometimes if we're a little bit, I don't wanna say behind because that's not the right wording, but if I have time, I'll start the PR, but it really depends, especially on the East Coast rounds, like, it's already 11:30 and we're at the pit, I'm like, "Ugh, I'll just do this in the morning on my 6 a.m. flight back home," like, I won't. Yeah, but it really depends, but usually then I'll start the PR, but yeah, that's pretty much, like, the end of the day. It's a little bit chaotic sometimes, but
That is brutal. Oh my
it's
gosh.
Moto.
I'm going to pause you for 1 second because now I've gone the whole day. You've survived early mornings, all day, energy all over the place. Then you have to write. Then you have to get into like professional mode. Not that you were in professional mode anyway, but professional written mode.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
yeah.
um, I always feel like when I go to the races, like since launching Real Housewives, my brain is so done by the end of the day, and I have no paycheck tied to it. So I cannot even imagine like getting to the end of the day and being like, now I have to not only like shift gears into an entirely different skill set, but like synthesize everything that happened today. And you might be fighting stuff like AMA stuff, like penalties. That's been a whole thing this year. I mean, God bless, a lot of them have been on Honda, but you have to like figure out like, okay, are we getting, well, I'm thinking about Seth. Like that was
Yeah.
a thing. Um, at what point do you say I have to get into writing mode? Like you'd kind of mentioned like sometimes it's the next day or sometimes it's on a flight. Like how do you shift gears from day Taryn to like writing Taryn?
It's not done well, I will say that, because ultimately, yeah, we spent the whole day,
Mhm.
early working, and then by the time that we get back to the hotel, I have to have the PR for first edits by the
Mhm.
next morning, which is
Oh, okay. So
difficult
not the
sometimes.
next day. Yeah.
Yes, like, it's difficult sometimes given we have an early flight and the Wi-Fi's not always great on the flight, so I usually will try to send it the night before or send it before I take off. But it's hard, like, I go through, like, 4 different groups of edits for it, and then once I get approved for the final group, Then I have to build out, it's called an active campaign. It's basically a website we use to actually have a visual of the PR. I have to build that out. I put in photos that are sized very specifically. I make a gallery. I put in the actual PR. I put in writer quotes with headshots. I put in a results graphic that we make on Canva that has the entire day's results. It's tedious. It takes hours. It and given that the night before I probably didn't sleep at all, sometimes I
Mhm.
literally will not go to bed because I have to be up at 3:30 or 4 to go to our first flight out, and we get back at midnight, and I have to write the PR. So it really depends on the situation, but sometimes I will never go to bed, and I'll lay there and write, or sometimes I'll sleep for the 2 hours, and I'll write the PR in the morning, but I'm running off of no sleep, no food.
We skipped over, like, daytime. I mean, we talked a little bit about, like, podium
We kind
stuff,
of
but
did, yeah.
one of my favorite things, which I can only assume is not one of your favorite things, is the autograph line. Like, I don't
Okay.
know, maybe I'm, like, a little bit of a masochist, but I love watching the autograph lines because Moto fans, especially, like, adult male Moto fans, are so choosing my words wisely, unaware, like, give no Fs. Like, the things I have seen go down in autograph lines, like, I could not imagine doing that. So, like, what what's your strategy for manning autograph lines? Because like we said, you have a lot of writers.
Yeah.
Chase brings a very long line. So like I can only imagine that's not fun. But how do you what's kind of like your process for managing autograph lines? Because I love watching it, but it looks like a shit show.
Yeah, it's crazy. Obviously, we have these little, like, lines in the front that kind of block off in a sense, and we get a line starting, like, in the morning, so it's a little bit
Ugh.
crazy, but once it
Mhm.
hits whatever time I said the autographs were gonna be, I go to the front, I move I don't know why I'm blanking on the word, the little gate thing that I have up, I, like, unhook it, and I'm like, "Okay, like, here we go, we're starting," and I let it run for about 15 minutes. It really depends on the time frame that we have, like, if it's between qualifiers, we usually do a little bit less, or if we have time, I'll try to give 20, it really depends, but I'm walking back and forth to the line to make sure no one's cutting, and then I'm also walking behind the boys to make sure, like, "Okay, your Sharpie's out, I have one in my pocket, like, here's a replacement." That, this fan in front of you really wants you to see this flag that she made with your photo
Oh.
on it. Can you sign that? Like little things like that. And then making sure that no fans are overstepping or anything. Actually, at Cleveland, one of the fans like wanted Chase to sign these replica goggles that he had, and when he was handing them to him, they were almost like in Chase's mouth. Like it was so close
Oh
to his
gosh.
face, and
Yeah.
just like, the whole. And so it was weird because I kind of saw it, and then like Chase was kind of side eyeing me as it happened, and then when he walked away, he like motioned for me to come over, and he's like, "Those were literally basically in my mouth." Like that
Yeah.
was so it's just it's monitoring for things like that. You don't want fans to overstep and make it uncomfortable, and then you don't want people cutting. It's crazy. It's very stressful, especially when I have to cut off the line because I'm breaking someone's heart, and I have to decide whose heart it's gonna be.
Mhm.
And it sucks because I feel I really don't wanna do that, especially with how long some of those people are waiting in line, but I always say, like, they're signing the entire stack that I have for them. I'm gonna hand them out, like, come and stand around. Once they walk away, I will hand them out. I'll get you, their signed cards. So that part kind of makes up for it a little bit because even if you didn't get a photo, because not everyone even wants photos, they just want the signed cards. So people end up kind of being happy with that, but still, it's the fact that I know that they're sad that I cut the line right where they are after however long they've been waiting. It's a really crappy feeling. I feel bad every time, and I don't know if Rachel feels the same way, because, like, one of the first races, she had told me, like, "You just have to do it," and granted we do, but I still feel bad. It never gets easier.
Yeah.
It yeah.
I that would that would be the absolute worst for me because like you said, yeah, you're breaking somebody's heart and you have to do it every single
Mhm.
weekend. Like it's not
Yeah.
just like, oh, okay, maybe we won't do autographs this week. No, it's a part of it's a part of what makes our sport great is the accessibility level to it. But
Yeah.
yeah, I just oh my gosh. And you guys do work with like local security, like from the stadium. So like there is like extra support around if somebody got like really crazy, you know.
Yes, and we always have someone at the rig. So I make an effort to introduce myself to whoever that is and say, like, I'm one of the PR coordinators. If you need anything, please, like this, my name's Taryn, like, let me know. And then once autographs hit, I usually say, like, this is what time they're going to be. This is how long I'm going to do it. If you see something that I don't, like someone's cutting the line or there's a fight or, whatever could possibly happen, please get my attention or let me know, but don't feel like you have to intervene if it's nothing crazy, just kind of keeping them on the same page. But I always make an effort to make that connection just in case anything happens. I always give them waters or monsters or something too. But having them right next to the rig is nice.
Yeah. That's a lot of different roles for you to be playing at one time. Like that takes a really like I mean, you have to be on your game because like you're wanting to make an experience for these fans and you're getting all different types of fans, all different age levels, all different, like you have people like I brought my best friend to Houston that had never been to a race before and she was just like people wait in line for these people. I'm like, "Go look at Deegan's line." Like, yeah, it's a whole thing. And so people have different expectations of what kind of involvement they're going to have at the same time you're managing, riders' emotional bandwidth and safety and I mean, you're juggling a lot of things just in that one responsibility of
Mhm.
just doing autographs. So I again, like I said, I love watching it because I don't have to do it, but I'm like constantly impressed by all of you guys that have to do it. It's like, oh, and I know there's been a few changes. Like some of the teams require wristbands, and some of them it's just like just
Mhm.
wait in line forever. If you could choose, like, how would you set up like the perfect autograph line? If it's you, not a fan, but if it's Taryn
Yeah.
who has to manage it, what would you do?
Honestly, we used to do wristbands before, but I think there's pros and cons to both ways, but I did bring it up again this year because I think that it would limit there being issues as far as, when we do cut off the line, some people do still try to, like, cut and get
Mhm.
around or, like, argue with you. Like, I have had some mean things said to me too,
Ugh.
which is fine. I just brush it off, but it's like, "Come on, dude, you're triple my age. Like, why
Yeah.
are you even talking to me this way?" It's just weird.
Yeah.
But I think that wristbands would make things slightly easier in the sense that, okay, if you have one, I can stand there and check for it, and then there's no argument when you don't have one. But then at the same time, handing them out in the morning is difficult because I'm barely at the rig. So then if we leave them out in a bowl, someone's just gonna take a bunch, and then what if they sell them? What if they eat multiple to take it away from other people? It's there's really pros and cons to both. And so I don't know. I've thought about both a lot, and it's hard because, like, I do have people come in the morning and say, "Oh, do we need wristbands? Do you have any?" I'm like, "Oh, no, we actually don't do them," Then there's that where it's like, "Okay, well, then do I need to be there?" And when anybody asks, I have to give them one because leaving it out in a bowl is not the smartest idea, but having hundreds of wristbands on me isn't the smartest idea either. So, I don't know. There are seriously huge pros and cons to both. Some parts about having a wristband are easier, and some parts are way harder.
Yeah, I can
But
imagine that.
yeah, ultimately, I don't know.
It's a lot, it's a lot. I mean,
Yeah.
the other side of it is, like, which I didn't think about until I had been, going to the races for a number of years, is some riders wear gloves in their autograph line and some do not, and so I was like, "Oh, that's really interesting," and then my husband's like, "Yeah, so they don't have to, like, touch as many people." Like, the number of people and germs you guys are interacting with, I mean, it's kind of funny, like, it's not funny, but, like, when one person gets sick on a team, I just feel like it, like, rips through the team, so it's like, on top of keeping everybody safe, you're also like, "I don't want my rider getting sick. I don't wanna get sick. I don't wanna let somebody down." Like, the layers upon layers upon layers that you as like the central point of contact between the teams and the fans have to manage is massive. And so like I just want to give you your flowers for that because the more I think about it and the more I like watch you guys, I'm just like you guys are you're wearing so many hats. Like
Mhm.
it is so much. Um so I guess like to put a positive spin on it, like what is your absolute favorite part of race day? Like what do you look forward to?
Um,
What's the best part? Or brings you joy?
there's a few, and even though it might be kind of it might sound a little weird, but part of me does like autographs
Yeah.
because I get to meet fans, and
Yeah.
sometimes
Oh, I
I
love
get
that.
for example, if they didn't get in line and they have something, and then, for example, there was this one fan at A2, I think it was, that had a shirt on that had Gus, which is Chase's bulldog, on it.
Oh, yeah.
And they came by and asked, and I went in the rig and said, "Hey, there's a fan out there, this is the situation. Would you wanna go sign the shirt, or should I just tell them you're not available?" And "Oh, no, like, I have to see this." So, we went out there together, he saw the shirt, they took a photo, he signed it, and then, he walks away and they're like, "Thank you so much, like, that made our day," and, like, that
Yeah.
just makes me feel good because we're there for the fans too, we are representatives of the team and we help the writers, but I also consider myself to be there for the fans, so it totally makes me smile when I am able to make things like that happen.
Yeah.
So I like that, and then also I just anytime I mean, even if we don't have the most successful weekend, I love being on the floor and watching it play out in real life, versus being on watching it on TV. So, I have my phone notes app open and I'm, taking notes about the race. It's a little crazy and I might, chop my head off, but I like I like seeing our success, especially if we have a podium. It feels like I'm part of the team, but, like, it feels like I'm
Mhm.
part of it because I'm just so happy for them.
Mhm.
So,
Mhm.
I honestly, even if we don't have like I said, not the most successful weekend, it's just being part of the team,
Yeah.
I'm happy to be there.
Yeah. Well, you're, I mean, a huge part of the team. Like, I that's what I'm hoping this episode shows is that like the teams do not function without your specific role and your specific skill set. You know, interestingly enough, we kind of talked about this. Like a lot of the PR roles have been filled by females.
Mhm.
Um, what has been your experience being a female in the sport, being an educated female in the sport? You are also very short. Should we mention this? You are very tiny. So like you've got a couple like stereotypes working against you that once anyone meets you, they realize like what a firecracker you are and what a powerhouse you are. But like how do you fight against like all of those things that in a male dominated industry are absolutely working against you? Like how do you stay positive, I guess is my question.
Yeah, oh, that is such a good question because it's so hard. I
Mhm.
think that being a female in this industry, I already, like, have it out for myself in a sense because I mean, granted, like, I've dated a writer before, like, there's always something like that, but I've had crazy rumors spread about me that
Ugh.
just, you know, some of them are, like, kind of true, but they were so exaggerated, or they had fillers in it to where the whole thing just ended up not being true, or it was a lie of someone that was jealous or, like, just crazy stuff. Like, for example, I found out a couple months ago that people were saying that my very first job that I got with the nonprofit, I only got because I was sleeping with my boss, who
Ugh.
was I was,
Gross.
like, freshly, like, 19,
Ugh.
and he was in his mid-40s,
Mm.
married, so it was just and I only found out a couple months ago, so to think
Ugh.
that however long was being said that it was weird. So then stuff like that that's just so dramatic and so far off from the truth, you just know that you can't trust it, and that's how this industry is. There's a lot of things that are said that you just cannot trust it all. So I do have to remember that some of the, like, things that people say about me or things that I hear, I have to really do my best to brush it off because most of the time it's really not true, or it is true, but like I said, it's, like, not fully true because someone added something that, else in there. And then also just being a female alone, not alone, but a very small number of females in a completely male-dominated industry. I get crazy DMs. I've gotten crazy comments from, mechanics and riders and stuff that just, like, because I love my job, I'm gonna act like it doesn't bother me. But some of them are, like, derogatory, and then some of them are just, like, so sexual and inappropriate that it's
Yeah.
just I'm surprised that you even had the courage to say this to me,
Mhm. Mhm.
Like,
Mhm.
I wanna expose you so bad, but,
Yep.
I won't, but I want to.
You can send them
So
to
that
me. We'll put 'em on blast here. I'm happy to do that.
yeah, seriously. I mean, I won't say who it was, but, just out of I just don't wanna cause an issue, but one of my favorite messages that I've received, one of them was like, "Oh, like, I really needed the Taryn special this morning," or whatever, and I'm thinking in my head, like,
What the
this is
hell?
someone that I really have never had any like conversation or anything
Yeah.
remotely with, let alone like a relationship or anything of that means, not even really a friendship. So for you to say that, it's like, well, what I wanna know what the Taryn special is too. Please tell me because
Yeah, please.
I
Yeah.
I don't know what that is. You're gonna have to give me some more information. Like,
My
I don't
God.
get it. It was weird. And then, like, a writer, like, DM'd me once in the middle of the night and was like, "I want you in my bed tonight." And I'm like,
Oh my
"Actually, I wanna
gosh.
be in my own, but thank you for offering."
Gosh, girl, the
Like,
tea.
there's been some and then there's also just some really funny ones too that's like it's so try hard of like something that I post or on my story or something that just I save it because it's so funny and it's like I honestly one day I just need to like get a bottle of wine and read through all of my old DMs and I think it would make
Yes.
me happy
Yes,
because
please. Yes.
there's
I would like to be
there's
there for
some
that.
yeah, no, you can. There's some good ones for sure. And then there's the
Yeah.
derogatory ones, especially last summer, that are
Mm.
like, "Oh, well, I don't know if I'm allowed to cuss. Am I allowed to cuss? Can I
Oh,
like"
yeah, girl. Yeah, go.
Okay, yeah. One
Go
of them
off.
specifically was like, "You're a fucking idiot," because I think my first press conference I did, this was a low point in my career. I called them podium champions because I'm just an idiot, but I was so nervous and I didn't realize that I even said it until after I watched it back the next day.
I don't
And
even
I'm
know that I
sitting
would have
there
picked
and
that
I'm
up
like,
at all.
what are
Like, that's
podium champions? What is a podium champion? Why would I say that? Genuinely, I rethought my entire life for a few days. I did not like what is a podium champion? I've been in this industry. I grew up writing. Like that's not
Mhm.
so it was just the fact that I knew I was nervous and it was my first time doing that I think ate at me.
Oh, sure.
But, oh my gosh, on the YouTube, like, live stream of it, I shouldn't have done it, but I read
YouTube's the
through them,
worst.
and it's
It's the
like,
worst.
"Who is this girl?" "You're a fucking moron," and then, like, I got a few DMs, and then others were like, "No, like, this is her for this being the first time she's ever done this, it was good," so it really depended, but I think that if it was a male, it wouldn't have gotten as much negative feedback, so
I
that
agree.
just into it, I think I have to remember that I am a young, blonde female in a male and I'm short, I
You're teeny
blend in a
tiny.
little bit. I mean, like, I'm not tiny, but I'm 5'1",
Mhm.
so it's just,
Mhm.
very
Mhm.
much,
Next to Garrett. I
always
mean, Garrett's kind of like a giant, so,
yeah, Garrett's tall. Like, he literally, one of the time I think it was A2 that he was having a media interview, and, he because he's so tall, I'm like this, like, looking at, like, whatever he's saying to
Yeah.
respond, and then even after, he was because of my, ex-TV situation, I'm so used to looking at the writer and listening to what they say so that I can respond, that even after he was like, "I was kinda wondering why you were, like, staring at me the whole time," or whatever, because I was I was trying to think of, like, "Oh, how am I gonna respond to this?" But I was going to. That's just where my mind was, and so I probably gave him the creeps, like, the first time he met me. It's probably like, "What are you doing?" But, yeah, like, I'm, like, looking up at him.
Yeah. Well, I
Yeah.
mean, in your defense, like, I think that a lot of the Moto media is not actively listening and they already have their next question prep. So
Mhm.
that again, here's another skill set that you have that traditional Moto media does not. That's so funny. So I feel that like on just like an infinitesimal scale with Real Housewives, like the things that people will say to you, especially in DMs, like I've had people being like, I can't believe you think you know anything about Moto. Da, da, da. And I was like, why would I create an entire account, have a weekly podcast, spend all of my PTO on Moto if I did not understand this sport? Like
Yeah.
the things that people will say, and it's never, I shouldn't say it's never men. It's been women before, and I've called them out.
Mhm.
But they were much older. But it's always men. And at the same time, it's fascinating to me that I'm like, I'm in this space because we love the same sport. Like, what does it trigger in you that you think I don't know my stuff? Like, why is it so triggering to you to have a female in the sport you love? Like, you're coming to my account that I have created to the dedication of this sport to say something
Yeah.
mean. Like, you must really hate your life. You must
Mhm.
really be mad, you know? Like, oh, it just drives me nuts. And it's like people that call out the hate, like Logan Carnell will do it. He'll like call out his haters. I'm like,
Oh,
do
yeah,
it
it's
more.
so funny.
Like the best. Oh my gosh. So anyhow, we're gonna have to have a part two because I have so many more questions now.
No,
And I'm here for it. You've made it.
I know. I also talk so much though, so that's also on me.
No, but that's a good thing, and it also means I'm like, "Oh, now I have to ask you about that. I have to ask you about that."
Yeah.
So we will do a part 2 maybe after Moto. After
Yeah.
you get an IV, rehydrate, do all the things after surviving 11 rounds of Moto. How
Yeah.
are you
I had
guys
to do that
feeling
at
about
Indy
Moto?
too, so
Oh, yes. Yeah. Do you wanna tell that story or do you wanna just We don't have to. We don't have to. We'll cut this whole thing out.
yeah. Let's just say that they have started calling me Tornado Taryn, so
Mhm, mhm. It's 'cause you grind so hard, girl. It's 'cause you're working your butt off. So,
I break things, so
sometimes some things are meant to be broken, okay?
yeah,
Like rules.
myself, the clock, and the PC rig, I just break everything, so
Did you get to keep the clock? Like, you
no,
need to,
I
like
didn't even know that I broke it though.
oh.
They made it seem like it was this, like, championship winning clock.
Oh my
Everybody was
gosh.
doing it, like,
Shut up.
nagging at me. I felt so bad. I genuinely had this, like, deep remorse the whole weekend
Oh,
just
bless
for the
you.
next morning for Ian to text me and say, like, a bunch of laughing emojis, like, "No, we're messing with you. It's
Yeah.
saved in your driver's Amazon wish list because sometimes it
Oh my
breaks."
gosh.
I'm like, "You gotta be kidding me."
That's hilarious.
I believed all of you.
Yes. Yeah, because you have a pure heart, that's why.
Mhm.
So,
I felt so bad, but now I'm like, "No, I don't feel bad anymore."
no. No feelings
They
now, thanks,
suck.
guys.
Like, what?
Yeah, you got a thick skin, let's put it that way, you know?
Yeah.
Gosh. So you're coming up on Moto. We have
Yes.
Denver tomorrow. I'm hoping
Mhm.
I'm gonna get this out like ASAP because I'm so excited. I just want everybody
Yeah,
to
me too.
know. And then I'll see you in like 4 days.
Yeah, I'll see you in
Um,
Salt Lake.
I'm so excited. Oh my gosh, I'm
Me
so
too.
excited. I mean, it's just oh gosh, it's just this has been the best year of Moto like in like 15 years. So like what a great year for your first like big pro circuit
Yeah.
year. Man, pro circuit and Monster Energy Kawasaki. Gosh, all the sponsors. Um, I gotta get them all right. So going into outdoors, do you and Rachel both cover outdoors? Like, what does that look like for kind of bandwidth for the grind of summer?
Yeah, it's the same as Supercross, so
Mhm,
we'll do Fox together, and then
mhm,
from there, we'll, flip-flop, except for that given our, like, previous schedules and everything, we do more, like, 2 back-to-back, so, like, I'll do 2 and then she'll do 2, versus for Supercross, it really was every other, so that'll be a little bit different given we usually fly out earlier for outdoors and, it might be a little bit more crazy or a little more tiring than normal, but for the most part, yeah, we'll switch off and it'll be good, and same with SMX. We'll do LA together, and
mhm.
then we'll each do one of the other 2. Yeah.
Gotcha, gotcha. Okay, so we'll do a part 2 after Moto. And
Yeah.
after the I think Moto is gonna be a much better place to be a green rider. So, we're hoping for much more success outdoors. I mean, we hope for success everywhere, but with 2 rounds left, it's between a red bike and a yellow bike, which is wild as a Kenny Glazer. We all know that I am. So, we'll do round 2 for sure, but I ask all of my girlies that come on. I got 2 questions.
Mhm.
So, and didn't prep you on this because I want your gut answer. So,
Yeah.
first one is what's one thing you wish you could admit to other women more often without guilt or judgment? So, what do you wish we could talk about where there wasn't guilt or stigma or judgment attached to it? And that can be in moto, that can be in life, that can be in careers, that can be anything.
Ooh, that's hard.
Mhm.
In moto,
Let's go for it. Let's go in moto.
what I wanna say a lot of the time is, like, "I do not want your boyfriend."
Say it again.
I
Say it
don't
again.
want your boyfriend. I am really here because I
Mhm.
love writing and I love making connections and talking to people and I love this sport. This is like my dream job that I never knew I could have.
Yeah.
I am not here to take your boyfriend and ruin your marriage. That's so and I haven't really had that issue before, but people they make assumptions and I hear about it and I just want to say like I promise I don't want him. I
I
just want to
promise
do my
this is a
job.
job. Yeah.
Yeah, and
Mhm.
also me talking to him is part of my job. So for I won't say who it was, but someone did say behind my back like, "Why can't she just leave you alone?"
It's literally
It's
her
actually
job.
my job and I work for the team. So, I'm not going to leave him alone when I need something from him,
Mhm.
and he knows that,
Mhm.
and it is fine. I'm not bothering him. It was a 3-second conversation. So, for you to say that is not only rude, it's also just very inconsiderate. So
Yeah.
yeah, I would love to publicly display, and I guess this is my display.
I love it.
I'm not going to swoop in and steal your boyfriend. I'm not going to. I'm not a home wrecker. I'm not. Yeah,
And it would completely ruin your career. Like, how, like,
that
simple-minded of you
too.
would you have to choose that? Like, no.
Like, yeah, why? I would lose my job if I meddled in someone else's relationship and then ended up dating them on any team.
Mhm. Mhm.
I would be a home wrecker. Like,
Mhm.
why would I do that? Why
Mhm.
would I
Well,
do
we've seen it happen. I mean, it definitely happens, and, like, it does not end well. So, like, why would you wanna partake in that, you know? So,
Yeah.
good on you. I'm not here to
Yeah.
steal your man. I love that.
Mhm. Mhm.
Heck yeah.
Yeah, so
Okay.
there it is. Yeah, that's definitely what I would say.
I love it. I love it. Not here for your man. All
Mhm.
right, easier one. You have $1,000 to spend. Nobody gets an opinion on it, and you can't be responsible. You can't pay bills. You can't put it in savings. What are you spending it on?
Oh, okay. So I do work with a dog rescue. So I have a bulldog. His name is Charlie, and I
Charlie.
got him from the rescue that I do work with. I don't do as much anymore since now I have this job and I'm gone all the time, but I used to be a really big part of our like core team. I would 100% put that money into rescue, whether I'm
Oh.
helping people that can't afford the adoption fees, which are pretty low, that whether it's paying a fee to get a dog out of a shelter so that we can
Mhm.
take them to rescue, whatever that money were to go to, I would pour it into rescue, like easy.
I love that. I love that. She's a saint too. Look at her. God. This is why we I mean, this whole episode, I'm just like, "Yes, this is why we gotta keep you around, okay?" Like, gosh, I'm so
I would
glad that
love to stay around, so let's hope that they wanna keep me.
I mean, you're killing it. I'm so proud. Like I said, I
Thank
just like
you.
the races that you work that I get to go to. Like it just makes me so happy to like see you in your element and just see what you bring to the team and just I mean, like you're just such a blessing to the sport and all of my girls, like all the RHoMies like love you and like are constantly like I'm going to this race. Do you know if Taryn's working? I'm like she is. You're in luck.
Oh my gosh,
So,
really?
yes, you have fans who threw Real Housewives of Moto. So, I mean, because I literally like we said at the top of the episode, you're like our girl Taryn. Like we claim you. So,
I love that. Oh my
you're in
gosh,
the
you've made
family.
my day. I'm like, "Tell
Yeah.
them I love them, they can come by anytime."
Oh yeah, we'll send them all your way. So if you are going to Salt Lake, come find me. Come find Taryn. She'll be at the
Yes,
green
find
the
both of
green rig.
us. Yeah.
You'll have all the things. You don't have no SMX, so you don't have or SMX next. You don't have the little ones.
No, we don't.
They're not that little. I mean, they're all like
No, but, like, I
no,
know what you
yours
mean.
are
Yeah.
giant. I was like
Yeah,
Enzo, he's
Kate's
huge.
tall.
Cade's huge. Yeah. Oh my goodness. So you guys don't have to deal with that, but it'll be busy all the same. So we will absolutely do round two after the outdoors. And this is gonna be a fun one. I'm excited. I'm excited for everybody to hear a little bit more about you and hear just kind of what goes into a race weekend. I mean, it's nuts. So thanks for coming to chat and thanks for sharing your story.
Yeah, thank you for having me. This was a blast. I've been looking forward to this forever.
Me too. Me too. So I'm glad we got it to work out in time. So
Me too.
thanks, girl.
Thank you.